Kimberly Stratman here, To the Point Retirement Life Coach. And while this conversation is centered and directed on to first responders and their families, to be honest, information is pretty much good for everybody who's facing retirement or who's in retirement. The sarcastic comment is if I can coach first responders, I can help anybody. But we are going to discuss the importance of doing hard things, doing challenging or difficult things in retirement. Now, I want to get something completely out of the way, first of all, and that is there are individuals who say, when I'm done working, I'm done with anything that I don't want to do. I'm not doing anything that I don't want to do. And I actually understand that. When I am offered teaching jobs or other type jobs here in the area, one of the things that I consider is, am I willing to drive to that location? And am I willing to drive to that location frequently? And I'll be honest, it's usually no. That is a deal breaker for me. A regular long drive on the highways here in the Metroplex, it's just not something that I'm willing to do. But having said that, we do need to do hard things. We need to do difficult things. And another example is when I am up at our cabin in Colorado and I'm in the hammock out on the backland. I'm like, I can do this forever. I don't want to do anything else. That's not really true, but it does feel like it while I'm there. And when I'm sitting on the couch in front of the fireplace, I am like, I could stay here forever. And that again is true, but it's not really. There's so many things in life that I enjoy doing, and there's things that I know that I need to do. And there's also the fear that comes in, and we're going to talk about that fear here in just a little bit. But what is the reason why individuals, and especially first responders, need to still do difficult, hard, or challenging things after they leave the job? Well, let's look at what we did while we were working. And I don't mean the specific job functions, but we built resilience and we built a proactive mindset. And we got really good at making decisions. And we got really good at taking care of ourselves and taking care of others. Now, a lot of us dropped the ball on the self-care of taking care of ourselves, but we made sure we went home at the end of every shift. And we made sure our partners, or we did the best we could to make sure our partners went home at the end of every shift. And we served our communities. So by doing hard stuff after we retire, we are working on our mental sharpness and our sense of purpose. And I have this written down because it's so important. I want to actually use these specific words. We continue to enrich our lives, and we're not just staying busy, but we're continuing our growth and our learning and our contributions to ourself, to our family, to our community. That all matters. Now, again, I know we're a wily group and we're like, I don't give a rat's ass about the community. Okay, do it for yourself then. Do it for your family. Heck, do it for your pet. A lot of people, the only reason why they take care of themselves is because they need to be able to take care of their pet. Not a bad reason. But let's look at what we can do that is difficult or challenging. I know of some retired first responders that have gone into very diverse, very dynamic, exciting, fulfilling next chapters. One of my coworkers now owns a bridal shop across town, a thriving bridal shop. I don't think anybody would have thought one of the very few female SWAT officers in the city of Dallas would one day own a bridal shop. I mean, that's wow. That's like, wow, do what you want, girl. That is awesome. One of the retirees that I'm familiar with now owns and operates a trucking company, a transportation, a logistics company. Different skill set than what he used as a police officer. Another officer has a fishing company. He turned a love of a hobby into a livelihood, and he is serving others. I never would have thought that I would own two coaching businesses when I retired. I knew I would have the oil business, but I had no idea that I would be a certified life coach, certified retirement life coach. Just never thought that. I don't even know if I knew they were a thing. Yeah, I'll go that far. So that's really shocking. But doing difficult things now. One of the things that I'm doing that's mentally difficult, besides the businesses and having to make videos and learn all this tech stuff, is I've decided to go to a year-long yoga instructor training class. This is mentally challenging for me. A lot of the words are in different languages. That's very difficult for me. I have to learn a lot of history, a lot of, well, it's not difficult to learn about the body due to what my major was in college and the fact that I stay active, but I got to pass tests. So that's going to be challenging. And then when it comes to physical stuff that I'm doing now that is challenging, is I'm doing aerial silk yoga. That means that I hang from these silks from the ceiling and I do yoga and kind of like ballet, dance, gymnastics hanging from the ceiling. It is extremely, extremely difficult. You have to be strong and limber and I don't know, a little crazy, maybe even. But I am actually afraid of heights. So this is a very, very big thing for me. But I'm doing it. And then relationships. People say, well, what's hard in relationships? I've spent a lot of time with other people now. I go to networking groups and I do one-to-ones where I get to know people. And I've joined a bunco group. So I'm doing all these things that I'm forming relationships with people. And that is hard for me because I like to be home and I like to be with our animals and with my plants and cooking in the kitchen and reading and doing my crafts and stuff like that. And going out and being with people just for the purpose of being with people is challenging for me. It's fabulous, but it's challenging, it's difficult, it's hard. And some health things that are hard to do is I go out every morning and work out. It's very hard for me to leave the house when it's 37 degrees and do an outside workout at 5 o'clock in the morning. And okay, I'll be honest, I do have a cutoff. I am not going out there if the wind's blowing and it's 30 degrees, and I'm not going to go out there if it's below 30 degrees. Just not doing it. But I have decided that it is very good for me to have a regular routine, to be outside working out in the fresh air, even in the cold. It's good for me physically, health-wise, to do that. And it's difficult, but you know, there's a lot of other people out there in the morning that are doing it also, and it's good for them too. So all of these things that I listed, you're like, what does this have to do with being a first responder? Well, I retired after 30 years of being a first responder, and I recognized quickly that while I loved not having to wake up to an alarm and I loved doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, the big question came up, is this it? And I'll be honest, a fear came up. Even when I was doing things I wanted to do, this fear came up of, what am I doing? What have I done? Is this it? Where's my life going? Who am I? Is my money going to run out? All these things, all these questions, all these fears, just like little bitty things would kind of like poke into my head while I was doing these things that I liked doing. And I realized that I actually needed to pay attention to those questions that were coming up. What did those questions mean? Well, first of all, it's always good to ask questions and it's always good to answer questions. I would not recommend getting stuck in the fear though. Take that moment of question, that moment of discomfort, and then make a decision that serves you. Do something different. Take on a challenge. Take on something that will move you from that fear to a feeling of excitement or content. Not everybody wants to live in excitement all the time. A lot of us do. A lot of us need that adrenaline fix. But a lot of us also recognize that we really do need some calm and we really do need some comfort. So I challenge you that when you're finding hard things to do, you don't have to do aerial yoga at the ceiling. You don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to, start a fishing company or open a bridal shop or buy a trucking company. Those are really big things. Find some other things that could challenge you. Maybe doing volunteer work. Again, we don't always like people. Maybe doing volunteer work is hard for you. Maybe reading X amount of pages in a book every day is a good challenge for you. Maybe changing your eating habits is a huge challenge for you. Do it. Do it. Do hard things. I'll be the first to admit that my husband, Todd, who is actually still working, so he's 33 years now on the job, he's an active SWAT officer, and he is my biggest cheerleader. He supports me in what I do. He asks me questions. He cheers me on. He challenges me. He really helps me a lot. And on those times when I don't want to go out at 5 o'clock in the morning and work out in the cold, he doesn't say, "Get your old fat ass out the door." He doesn't say that. He might think it, but he doesn't say that. He says, "You do this because you do hard things. You do this because nobody else is doing this. You do this because it matters to you." And he'll say it in a way that might be joking around. Like I might come out and go, "Why am I doing this?" And then he'll throw one of those down. Or he might ask me, "Why are you doing this?" And then I get to, get out of my funk and say, "Because I do hard things." But again, it's a challenge. It's good for me. I feel like I'm thriving right now. Do those doubts come up of what's next? Absolutely. Do those fears come in of what's going to happen financially? I don't trust our pension in Dallas. I don't trust it at all. I don't know of anybody who trusts our pension. That instead of sitting back and being scared and being miserable, it made me go out and create 2 new businesses to monetize what I was already doing anyway in my life. Another hard thing. It is scary to put ourselves out there. It is hard to do big things, especially when people might think that you're a failure or might think that you're not using common sense when you do this. Of course, anybody who judges somebody who's living their dream or anybody who judges somebody who's trying hard things, I don't really know if they deserve our respect. So does it really matter what they think? When it comes to failing, there's a lot of failure involved in life. There's a lot of failure involved in success. I don't purposely ever start anything with the intention of failing, but I can tell you that I have survived all of my failures up to this point. So that's a good thing, right? If failure is what scares you, really think about what that means to you. Now, I am not talking that you do something that if you fail, that you have lost your financial security or that you've lost a relationship or things or your health. I'm not talking that kind of failure. I'm talking about survivable failure. But do it. Take those risks. If anything, you're going to have a good story, right? A great story to share. And there's also a quote out there, and I couldn't tell you who it was, but it is 10 years from now, you are not going to regret what you did. You're probably going to regret the things that you didn't do. And then there's the statement of when's the best time to plant a tree? Well, it was 10 years ago. And then when's the next best time? Right now. So start thinking about big things that you can do. Start thinking about hard things that you can do, things that challenge you. Remember, we want to keep our mental sharpness, our sense of purpose. We want to feel like we contribute. We want to feel like we matter. We want to feel like we have a future. And now some people listening might say, "I am so broken. I am so damaged. I don't even want to be a part of society. I don't want to be a part of community." I ask you to please get whatever help or support that you need to where you realize that you are not too broken and you are not too damaged. You still have a future. You're here today. You can still do big things. I don't know. Maybe getting help might be your big thing. Maybe getting help might be your hard thing. Please do it. Please do it. I, as a retirement life coach for first responders, I would love to hear what your big thing is, what the hard thing that you're going to do, what the challenging challenge of your future is. I would like to know if you've already done it and how it went, or if you're thinking about it, or if you just need someone to cheer you on. I am in your corner. I am cheering you on. I am Kimberly Stratman of To the Point Retirement Life Coach, a retired 30-year first responder. I'm continuing to serve the community. I would love to help you help yourself. If you're the spouse of a first responder, or if you're anybody who's listening to this, you don't have to be a first responder, but if you're thinking about retirement or you're struggling in retirement, please reach out to me. The contact information will be in the show notes. And I am here to help you help yourself. That is what I do. That is what I've just had to accept how I'm wired. So, thank you so much for listening and watching this. Please like it. Please subscribe. Please reach out to me and let me know how you were doing. And also, any suggestions, any topics that you think that I could research or bring a guest on to cover for first responders and retirement. Stay safe.